the democracy dies in darkness for Bezos turns out to have been like a marketing slogan and not a statement of fucking principles.
Hello, everyone. This is JVL here with my best friend, Sarah Longwell, in what will be our second lowest production quality secret podcast ever. Second only to the bus ride show. Do you remember that?
I do.
We
At
literally
least we had,
sat with a.
but we had mics at least for that one. Like this one, we're like on our AirPods. We're both in hotel rooms, not at the same hotel.
Yeah, Sarah and I are in hotel rooms across town from one another in Phoenix, Arizona. And we are here for the Bulwark live show tomorrow night. Very excited about that. Um, so we got a tight 30 for you. And I think we both wanted to talk about capitulation. So Paul Weiss capitulated, Colombia's capitulating. Everybody's just basically saying, yeah, the president probably can't do these things and it's probably unconstitutional. We could probably fight it and win, but maybe we'll just give him what he wants.
Yeah, that's what's happening. Hey, this Paul Weiss thing? Can
Mhm.
you? I mean, look, neither of us are lawyers. Neither of us come from the big law firms. But George and I did talk about this. He's going to do a thing with Tim. He probably has already taped it by now this morning because you and I are on West Coast time. But it's very important for people to understand why this matters with the big law firms. And it is because right now, sort of the last vestige of hope that we have, like the one mechanism for accountability that exists when Congress is rolling over and completely capitulating, when the big members of the media and the tech titans, when they're all gone, right? And so you have a real sort of deficit of influence by other means. The courts are the last refuge of accountability. And what's crazy is that right now we're basically having to leave it up to the nonprofit sort of lawyers, the people who will do it for sort of social civic reasons. Which doesn't mean there's very good lawyers who exist in that space. That's kind of like where like your Norm Eisens, your Mark Elias, but they tend to be sort of nonprofit, but also kind of a more activist side of the legal community. But these big white shoe law firms, those are the people who, for money, lots of money, are used to taking big cases, and they have like people who argue in front of the Supreme Court, people who are just incredibly not that, and the nonprofit lawyers are also very, at least a couple of them, a handful of them, but like these firms are the sort of center of what we do in this country to protect all of these rights, and to have them. And look, I'm not gonna say it's like I don't like it, obviously, that when the big law firms go and defend Trump, but they've done that the whole time. And, you know, he's entitled to a defense. Like that is just, he is. What's happening now, though, is that Trump is issuing executive orders. This is what he did to Paul Weiss in the first place, is issuing executive orders targeting specific firms. And what you would imagine would happen in this scenario is that all the other law firms, because these are filled with rich people with enormous tools at their disposal to win cases in court. And they are just, what Paul Weiss did was say, okay, withdraw your executive order. They met face to face with Trump. They said, we're going to withdraw the executive order. And then Paul Weiss is going to give $40 million in pro bono legal services to basically whatever issues Trump wants.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, it's sending a message, right? And once Paul Weiss is buckled, the next guy is going to be easier to crush. And Trump is attacking the legal system in a pincer movement. So, on one hand, he's attacking the judiciary itself by inching up to the line of defying court orders and crossing that line in a couple of cases. the other side of it, he is attacking representation itself and the lawyers who practice. So he's attacking the judges on one side and lawyers on the other side. And the idea is to make it so that the pool of people willing to oppose him from the bar will be smaller. And I mean, that's just the only way to make this look right. So that if you are a lawyer who wants to make your money and your career in law, you know that doing or even just saying privately anything critical of Trump or against Trump's interests is going to make you a professional liability for your firm and therefore make it harder for you to be gainfully employed. Like that's, I mean, that like it's about the firms at one level, but then it's about the individual lawyers at the next level. It's an attack on the entire system. And the fact that the lawyers decided to behave not like a guild, to band together to protect all of the members here, but to just be like, no, if we make our accommodation, we'll be cool, is shameful and dangerous. And I guess in the end of the day, it shouldn't be surprising, but I do find myself surprised. Um, I mean, are you surprised? So George and I talked about this last week,
Oh, you did?
and
Oh, well, this
we
is the
talked about,
Perkins Coie
yeah.
case.
And so what I asked him about, I said literally, I said, is it the case that all of these guys all know each other? They all belong to the same
Right.
clubs together. They're like,
That's right.
are they going to all like file, and the amicus brief to end all the amicus briefs with, if all 5,000 of the richest, most powerful lawyers in America saying, no, step back? Or are they going to look at this and say, oh, well, the eye of Sauron isn't on me, and that means we can gobble up more clients and more business? And George was like, I don't know. And, a week later, we found out the answer.
Yeah, and I guess the reason I wanted to talk about the capitulation is first of all, this individual case, this individual instance of somebody caving in this way, it's very much like I think like when ABC kind of caved on a
Exactly.
totally winnable
Yep.
case. They were gonna win in court. And so, but instead of going to court, instead of doing the fight and making Trump like he would lose, but instead of doing that, like, and this is where like these law firms, so there's a whole bunch of things happening to people right now where they do not have the tools to protect themselves.
Hmm.
You're a legal American asylee who's committed no crimes. You get deported to El Salvador, right? Like you are not in a good position to defend yourself from a El Salvadorian prison where you have been wrongly detained. Um, these law firms have every tool. They have money. They know how the system works. They have an entire enormous community of other rich people and powerful people. They are connected. They have worked in administrations with presidents. And so the thing that I've been thinking about, I've had two real thoughts about this. One is we spent a lot of time in the first Trump term thinking about how to make sure institutions could hold in the face of Trump. And I think we might really need to accept that what is happening right now is only going to be changed if we can like harness grassroots energy and like people from the grassroots up because your elite communities, the ones that did stand up to Trump the first time, they're all going down. Like they are
Yeah.
not standing up in this moment. I mean, the democracy dies in darkness for Bezos turns out to have been like a marketing slogan and not a statement of fucking principles, excuse me. The second thing, and this lesson extends across all sectors. But when the AP gets kicked out for not using the preferred language of Trump and the administration, and the response from the media wasn't to rally around the AP and say, we're all out if the AP's out. If people who care about free speech can't rally to Mahmoud Khalid, not because they sympathize with Hamas or even have pro-Palestinian sympathies. Like If you care about free speech, if you care about due process, then you you stand up on these things. But the way in which, listen, it's exactly what happens in the wild. Like this is a this is how lions who are trying to be predators, right, to like a pack of zebras or something, what do? They isolate one zebra, they separate it from the pack so that they can pick them off one by one. And that is what is happening right now. And if you do not come to each other's aid, if you don't summon the might, pull together the might of the entire institution that you belong to, law, media, then you're like, we can't. Like that is how this happens. And it is what's happening. And it's why that quotation, we're starting to see this. I've used it a couple times, but it's just like I had never really thought that hard about the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. I've known that quotation my entire life and never really knew what it meant until now. It's similar to I always understood academically what it meant to say, first they came for the communists, but I was not a communist. And then they came for uh, I don't know, the gypsies, but I didn't care because I wasn't gypsy. And then they came for the Jews and I didn't care. Or I didn't object because I wasn't Jewish. And then they came for me and there was nobody left to object. And like, that is what is happening right now.
Hmm. I mean, and we're only 2 months in. I mean, I look at the universities. Hey, Sarah, there's more show.
Oh, there is?
Yeah.
Are we still talking? We have more talking?
we're still talking. The talking goes on, but that's only for the people who are inside the Velvet Rope, the Bulwark Plus members.
Oh, they got to subscribe.
Yeah, tell them to subscribe. Tell the
You
people,
should subscribe,
Sarah.
Guys. Why wouldn't you subscribe? You get all kinds of things. You get some extra me and JVL. You get some extra me and George Conway. You get JVL's Triad. This is one of the best things the Bulwark offers. I read it at least once or twice a week.
Yes. Go and subscribe. We'd love to have you.